Recruiting for excellence. Finding the right team members. Anybody struggling with hiring? On a scale from 1 to 10, type in the chat, 1 to 10. 1 is, Donald, my team sucks so bad. 10, man, I got a bunch of rock stars, Donald. I would not trade one person. Give me a link. Give me a number from 1 to 10. 1 is, man, they're horrible. They suck the soul out of me every single day. Yeah. Type in the chat. Type in the chat. Type in the chat. Come on. This is a participation call. I see you on there. I see you. I see you all on there. I see Kevin. See Alma. See Kathy and Brenda. Everybody's really quiet today. All right. Jenna, I think you intimidate them. They're scared. They're scared of you.
Sorry, guys. I'm friendly.
She is friendly. She's friendlier than Luke. I'm telling you right now. She's a lot friendlier than Luke. She doesn't bite like Luke does. Luke will bite you. Luke will bite you in a heartbeat. That guy is vicious. Yeah. Don't tell him I said that. Oh, shit. This is being recorded. Yeah. Oh, it says the chat's disabled. You got to enable the chat. Boom, boom, boom.
Sorry, guys. I'll figure that out.
Yeah, there's usually, when you sit down in the bottom there, it'll be, and there's like 3 little dots on the bottom of the chat. If you click that more button, it should be enable chat for everybody. It took me like 5 Zooms to figure that. Like, I don't know how to do it. Yeah. All right, well, let's get started while we figure this out. How's that? Well, welcome to the Wednesday webinar for restaurant growth. Every Wednesday, we get together and we usually do some kind of educational session. Something that's going to help you go from where you are to where you want to be, give you some tools, training, and a little bit of coaching to break free from your restaurant running and possibly ruining your life. I always have a quote I love to share: all business problems are people problems. Those people problems are usually communication problems. So just always be aware of that. Rules for today. Number 1, have some fun. Number 2, take notes. Research has shown if you write stuff down in your own handwriting, you are 70 to 80% more likely to remember the information 30 days from now. And that's always the goal. All right. Number 3, take action. I will tell you this: if you don't apply what you've learned today, you haven't really learned anything. Knowledge is not power. It's just potential. Applied knowledge is power. All right. So that being said, every once in a while, you're going to hear me say my famous words. I'm going to say hashtag WTSD. That's going to be the gold nuggets. It stands for write this shit down. These are the things I want you to remember. And if we've never met before, first time in the webinar series, I am Donald Burns. I am the restaurant coach. I am a former restaurant owner. I've been a consultant with big billion-dollar brands, US Foods, Cisco Foods, Shamrock Foods. I've been a chef when I had my own restaurants. I was a chef for Wolfgang Puck. I'm a restaurant investor. I invest in small startup restaurants. I'm also a former U.S. Air Force pararescue man. And I'm also the author of the Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy. I'm most known for that. And I also have a book out that came out in January called Savage Restaurant Success. And I have a new book coming out in the fall. It's going to be rolled out around the same time as my Restaurant Success Summit. So I have every October. I'm going to tease you out about it this time. I haven't opened up the doors yet. But if you want to have a great time and have a lot of information, I do a 3-day annual Restaurant Success Summit here in Scottsdale, Arizona. This year it's October 21st, 22nd, 23rd. And it's a 3-day event. There are 9 speakers, 18 workshops in 3 days. You get lunch. I'll feed you. Don't worry. I won't starve you. And we have a lot of great stuff. And plus, you can sit and talk to me, ask me questions about your restaurant. It's a really great time. That being said, when I opened my first restaurant in 1995, that's me in the middle, by the way, I thought that having experience in a restaurant business, because I grew up in the restaurant industry with my dad, I thought that was all you needed to open a restaurant, run a restaurant. Just have experience, worked in a restaurant. Man, how hard can it be? That's a lot harder than I thought. I mean, I knew how to run a restaurant. I did not know how to build a profitable brand. I was very, very fortunate that a businessman maybe felt sorry for me. Maybe he just like, I don't want to see this restaurant go down because it's the best place in town. I want to have a great place to eat. He decided to offer me a hand and help me out. And he coached me and mentored me for a year. And he said this thing. He said, if I gave you a 3-digit lock and I said, open the lock, could you open the lock? And I said, no. He said, well, what if I gave you the combination? I said, that would be great. I could open a lock whenever I want. He said, exactly. Well, the combination to restaurant success, ladies and gentlemen, is right here. This is it. It is called the 3P framework, and it's the foundation for all my coaching programs. All my coaching programs follow the same framework. It is always people, then product, and then process. That's the 30,000-foot view. Now we get down to the 10,000-foot view. There's 3 elements that go inside each of these modules. Inside the people one, it's mindset, your strengths, your behavioral assessments, culture, the triad, which is known as mission, core values, and vision, team dynamics, standards, leadership. Then we get into hiring, recruiting, training, and interviewing using behavioral-based interviews. And then in the product part, it's always food costing, then menu, and then marketing. And then process, system, strategy, and profitability. Now, that's the 10,000-foot view. The very, very like ground level view is in each side, inside each module, there's a series of workshops. So team 1 team is all about behavioral strengths, mindset, help you get dialed in, series of workshops there. Culture, know why workshop, series of workshops there. Hiring, a series of workshops. I think it's 10 workshops in there, 10 hours of training plus downloads to give you all the stuff you need. Food cost boot camp, same thing. Every step of this roadmap is a series of trainings inside of training. It's very kind of matrixy. There's always a level within inside the level. Now, today, we're going to talk about one of the elements in our Restaurant Accelerator. This is a segment, a very small segment, because you got to understand the talent attraction method is like 10 hours. I have an hour. I can't teach you 10 hours of material in an hour. So we're going to go into the talent attraction method stuff today. And we're going to kind of dig into some of the stuff about recruiting. So what if you could handpick a team that was so damn skilled that you kick the daily grind to the curb and start actually running your empire? Every restaurant owner in the world comes to me when they first have a call with me and they say, what's your goal? Donald, I just want to work more on my business, less in my business. But then no one ever shows you how to do that. I have that accelerator program you saw is the step-by-step roadmap to work more on your business and less in your business. If you follow every module, do the homework, you cannot help but be successful. It's like, I put you in the boat in the middle of the water, in the middle of a big lake, and I say, I want you to fall out of the boat and get wet. There's no way you can't help it. You will make it. You will be successful. Same thing with that accelerator program. If you follow the program, the program works. I tell all my clients all the time, if you want to win the game, you just have to follow the frame. I will give you 80% of the workload. I will give you the tools, the training, and the coaching. You just have to pick up the tools and apply them to your restaurant to see results. That's all you have to do. Restaurant success isn't rocket science. It's people science. That being said, I'm going to give you a famous quote. This is one of my favorite quotes from Jim Collins. Here's the whole goal with hiring and training and team dynamics. You got to get the right people on the bus, and you got to get the wrong people off the bus. And right now, you all have some people that you probably need to get off the bus. Okay. So if you want more money, better have a badass team to back it up. One-man shows don't make it unless you're a food truck. I'll give you a condition for that. It's hard to run a restaurant by yourself, to do everything by yourself. You do need a team. And if you want to reach the high levels of success, and what I mean by high levels of success, most of our accelerator people are 18, 19, 20, even higher percent profitability. The average restaurant in the accelerator program right now runs a 19.9% profitability. It was 19.8. It went up to 19.9. 19.9% profitability is the average restaurant accelerator member. Right. And here's the thing. It works in any country, any market, it doesn't matter, because all business problems are people problems. The things that change might be currency. Everything else is the same, because all the problems you're dealing with right now are all people problems. So we're going to talk today about how to recruit for excellence, finding the right team members. In the restaurant industry, especially, the success of your restaurant really does depend on the quality of your team. Recruiting the right team members is not just about filling positions. Hashtag write that down. Recruiting the right team members is not just about filling positions. It's about finding individuals who align with your restaurant's culture, with your mission, with your vision for the future. Right? So today we're going to talk about a comprehensive action plan to help you actually recruit for excellence, not recruit to fill a job, recruit for excellence. I want to make sure that you are getting hires, people on your team that are going to contribute positively to your success, not drag you down into the dumps like a lot of them do. So how do we do that? Well, first we got to talk about the problem. Recruiting for excellence in any industry, especially in the restaurant industry, we have to talk about some challenges. So some of the key challenges that often arise is, number one, we have to define what's excellence. Excellence is very subjective. One of the problems we have is like, what actually constitutes excellence? Here's the thing. Each restaurant will have a different standard and definition based on your culture, based on your cuisine, based on your guest expectations, and also based on your operational style. A fine dining, Michelin star, restaurant has a lot of different definitions of what excellence is compared to a mom and pop place that just is trying to serve the best stuff they can in town. But everyone can aim for excellence. You have to define what excellence means as far as your brand. Okay. You have to align your vision for excellence with the qualities and skills of the people you want to bring on your team, or else they will not be able to meet those demands, meet those qualities, and they will bring your standards down. They will lower the bar and lower the excellence. Right? Another problem we have is finding the right fit. Right? I've done this myself. People look good on paper. They perform well, they interview well, but that's no guarantee they're going to mesh in with my existing team or adapt to my restaurant-specific work style and culture. There's a thing called interpersonal dynamics and team fit, which we talk a lot about in the Know Why workshop, and we also talk a lot about it in the talent attraction method. This is where people miss the boat. You can hire all day long, and you have some really good tools in your webinar stuff. You have some behavioral-based interview things. We're going to talk about recruiting today, but I want to start talking about recruiting for the right fit. This is where we're going to talk about interpersonal dynamics and team fit. Those are two huge things that you need to get advanced training on. Okay. Another problem we have is there is a competition for top talent. Top talent does not last very long. And there's a reason. They're top talent. Okay. If you're in a market that has a pretty tight labor pool, when you get an A player that becomes available on the market, they don't last long. You have to be able to have a system in place to be able to recruit constantly and scoop them up before they're gone. Right. So you got to make sure you have a place that stands out, that offers, and we'll talk about some of this stuff. You have to have a really, really competitive offer, a really kick-ass compensation plan, maybe some benefits. You have to distinguish your restaurant from the other restaurants in town as far as culture growth opportunities and job satisfaction. What's the number one way to do this is market that shit. So many of you market your food and beverage. That's great. I love it. Beautiful pictures, by the way. I follow most of you on social media. If you're on Instagram, you can always just find me at Donald Burns. Follow me. I'll follow you back. I love following restaurants, right? And I will tell you, probably 90% of the restaurants I follow on Instagram, they post just pictures of their food and beverage. No pictures of their team, no pictures of their culture. They don't show me and tell me why I want to work at their place. Okay. And then another problem we have is retention. Okay. Retaining people is another hard part that you have to have an active hand in. Getting them on the team is one part, keeping on the team is the other part. Sometimes we have really high demands and we don't set the expectations or bars or give people room to have time off for a little bit of that life work integration. A lot of times we don't recognize people, give them a little pat in the back, and then they get disengaged and they go somewhere else. Another problem we have is it does take a little bit of resources to dedicate to having a recruiting plan in place. That means you have to schedule some time each week to actively recruit. Not posting a job ad. Job ad is passive. We're going to be talking about actively recruiting and actually moving the needle in your direction. Actively looking for people that can be a good fit for your team. Okay. And I mean, the problems are crazy. And if we don't address them and understand them, we're never going to be able to move forward. So that's the problem. Let's talk about the principles. Okay. There are 7 keys to recruiting for excellence. 7. Make sure you got a piece of paper and a pen because these are the gold nuggets. Key number 1, you have to define your ideal candidate. The foundation of restaurant success, I'm telling you, it's not just the menu or the decor, it is your people. So before a job post goes live, it's crucial to have a well-defined image of your ideal candidate. Who is the ideal person? In marketing, they do this all the time. Jenna can back me up. In marketing, they have you do a thing called your ideal avatar. So that way, when you're marketing, you know exactly who is the ideal person I want to market to. So that way, your marketing is sent, the message is sent to the person you're trying to attract. You need to do the same thing for your ideal candidate, the ideal team member. You have to have this in place because if you don't know exactly what you want, you'll settle for whoever the first warm body is that walks through the door. Now, here's how I define when I'm looking for my ideal candidate or my ideal team member. Number 1, personality traits. The dynamics of your team really predicts the success. You have to understand there's different types of personalities that will fit seamlessly into your business and some that will cause a lot of friction. One of the things I'm looking for is energy and their sense of outgoing, especially in a service role. You know, if I need someone as far as a host or a server or a busser, I need someone who thrives in that bustling, high energy environment. Someone who can keep up with a high pace, right? Especially in the kitchen. How many people have ever made the mistake of you hire a really, really great prep cook and you have a really great prep cook, and then it gets busy at lunch and you throw them on the line and they go down in flames? Anybody ever witnessed this before or just me? I see this all the time. The reason being is the personality traits required to be a good prep cook are not the same personality traits required to be a good line cook, and vice versa. I have that really badass line cook, the guy who can knock out 300 covers for lunch easily, not even break a sweat. And then it gets slow in the afternoon. I throw him on prep and he's wandering around, can't stay on task, stay on target. And I'm just like losing my shit because he's like all over the place. Great person, right? Different personality traits, different positions on the team. Okay. Another thing I'm looking for when I'm identifying my ideal candidate, my ideal team member, core values. Number 1, you should know your core values. And number 2, you want to ask them what their core values are. Alignment is pivotal, not just for cohesion, but for long-term satisfaction, also for retention. Some of the values I look at is I look for a strong work ethic. I look for a commitment to guest service. For me, that's a non-negotiable. You have to be committed to serving other people, no matter where we are in the restaurant. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm just a line cook. I don't have to care about the guest." Everyone cares about the guest if you work in a restaurant. You have to have, like some places nowadays, like have to have maybe a passion for sustainable practices. Like if your restaurant's values is sustainability, you need to find people who have that same value, or else they're not going to give a shit about your sustainability kind of program you have going. The way you do this during the interview process is you ask questions. You have your core value card on the table and you're asking them questions. This is where we get into what we call scenario-based assessments. We're using what we call BBI, which we did a webinar a couple weeks ago on BBI, behavioral-based interviewing. I'm putting them in a situation and asking them scenarios. Scenario-based assessments are the best way to understand how a person's going to act. And then finally, there is a little bit about skills and experience. You know, personality and values to me are like top tier. In fact, Danny Myers has a rule, he calls it the 51% rule. 51% of his hiring standard or requirement is through personality, which is personality traits and values, 51%. 49% is only about skill. Now, the problem with most restaurant owners is you hire 90% on skill. And then you get some asshole who goes back in the kitchen and just makes it a nightmare for everyone to work with. Okay. When I'm looking for a chef, I'm looking for someone with culinary experience. I'm looking for creativity. But here's also the thing. A lot of times we hire chefs based on their culinary prowess. Like the guy can cook like a wizard. And we think that's he's going to be great for my restaurant. He has to understand the business side too. That means menu planning, kitchen management. He has to be able to make money. He has to understand food costing. He has to understand inventory control. He has to understand a lot of business side to be a great, great chef, not just the food side. Okay. If I'm looking at like service team, I might be looking at for some kind of ability to have some kind of salesmanship, the ability to have some kind of memory recall. And then for leadership roles, I need someone who not only can lead a team, but can set the example. Someone who has their own set of core values and ethics that they will not violate, that they will follow. I need someone who can not only run the service side and lead the team, but also can run the numbers side. So many times we get someone who's really good on one and not good on the other, and then we get in trouble. I've seen it both ways. I've seen people who had restaurant leaders that were great on the number side, horrible leading the team, talking to the team, horrible at interacting with the guest, and it just crushes their kind of potential. So make sure that you have a clear, defined set of what you want in the ideal candidate. That's key number one. Key number two, you must craft a compelling job description. This is even before I write a job ad. I need a really good job description first, okay? Because once I have a job description, that's going to be my job posting. And my job description goes into the job posting. That's usually where people see you. Now, in the talent attraction method, I have a module that is gold, means solid gold. It's called the perfect job post. It is a simple framework. This framework will help you find more people than you know what to do with. Every time I've taught this perfect job post model to members of my coaching programs, they have seen a dramatic increase in applications. I have one guy, Michael from Bailey's in Buffalo. Michael was getting maybe four applications a week when he put out a standard job post. He switched over to that perfect job post model I teach. Now he gets routinely over 100 applications a week, which, think about this. You need to hire someone, you got 4 applications. When you're in panic mode, and this goes back to what we call panic hiring, you tend to just find the worst of all the evils. Now, if you had 100 applicants to choose from, you could really be a lot more selective and find the A talent. Michael has since he's been with me coaching, He has gotten rid of all his C players, all his B players. He only has A players. And he made this statement to me the other day. He would never go back to hiring anything but an A player from now on because it makes his life easy. The restaurant runs more efficient. The labor's lower. The food comes out better. Food comes out faster. The guests love it. It is such a game changer when you make a commitment to have only A players on your team. Now, you might be giving me an excuse going, but Donald, you understand, my market's different. I don't have a lot of people in my market. I just can't pull up. I just can't hire like crazy like that. This works for any job market. Doesn't matter where you are. I've used this in small little towns in Iowa, small little cowboy towns in Montana. The job model works when you follow the job model. Okay. So make sure when you're doing these job descriptions, make sure your job descriptions are clear and concise. A well-crafted job description needs to be straightforward, needs to be easy to understand, and it has to ensure that they understand exactly what the job entails. And I would tell you, put everything on that job description. A lot of my members, their job descriptions are 3-4 pages because they put everything they expect on that job description. Clarity is powerful. Write that shit down. Okay. So I'm always crystal clear and concise about the responsibilities. Right. I make sure I have all the required certifications, especially if I need something like they need an alcohol handling license, food safety license, anything I need for my state or my city. I make sure those are also clearly defined on the job description. And then I briefly talk about the benefits on there too. Okay. What do we offer that's beyond the paycheck? Now, here's the thing. A lot of perks nowadays don't have to be crazy. I mean, flex time off, paid sick days. I have some restaurants that offer, they pay for people's Netflix accounts. They offer dog insurance. You'd be shocked how many people would rather have insurance for their dog than themselves. It's crazy. Yeah. Some people love their pets that much. Okay. And then make sure you're highlighting your culture. You have to showcase your culture. Right? Your culture is your unique selling point, and it needs to be a part of the job description. You got to tell me why your place is so different. I hate to say, restaurants have a horrible reputation, horrible reputation for treating people like shit, for treating people like shit. Right. And unless you tell me why you're different, I assume you're like every other restaurant in town. You're going to treat me like shit. So you have to go out of your way to highlight your culture in your job descriptions and also in your job ads, also in your videos on social media. You have to start telling me why your place is so unique. Why do I want to work with you? Okay. And make sure you talk about the pace. If it's high pace, high volume, tell them that up front. I have a lot of restaurants, they hire someone and they're like, and I talked to them a week later and they're like, what happened to that new person? You were all excited about them. Oh, they quit already. Why? Oh, they said it was too busy. Did you tell them it was a high volume when they interviewed? No, but I just assumed they get it. Oh, here we go. We assumed. Don't ever assume. Yeah, tell them. Okay. And then make sure you're emphasizing opportunities for growth. People that are ambitious, they want roles that offer an opportunity to grow and develop. They don't want just a job. They want a career path. You got to make sure your job descriptions enhance that and say that there is opportunity for growth and advancement. Some of the things you might want to highlight is maybe if you have some really cool training programs, any kind of in-house training programs you offer, on-the-job training, professional development courses, leadership training. Maybe you have some kind of career progress path. We have a manager and training academy. We have a culinary academy. One of the biggest problems I had with my first restaurant is that I was in a very, very small town in Michigan, Battle Creek. And there was not a lot of high-end restaurants in Battle Creek. And so my labor pool skill sets that I was pulling from, I was pulling people from like Applebee's, Chili's, places like that. They didn't have a lot of culinary skill. So I realized from an early point, I had to have a culinary training program in place in my own house, and I had to train them and give them the skills. And I basically offered it, hey, just let you know, if you sign up, if you make the team as far as the part of the culinary team, you will be enrolled free of charge into my culinary arts training program, where I'm going to every week, I'm going to go over a chapter in a book. I got a textbook from the ACF, American Culinary Federation, American Culinary. Basically, I think the book's called The Art and Science of Culinary Preparation. I used that book as a textbook. I got a workbook. I made copies of it, Xeroxed it, and gave him a copy of the chapter. I gave him a copy of the workbook. And then every week we went through a different chapter. It was pretty simple. All right. You can develop a training program in-house, and you will see that if you have a training program, like you have a leadership training program, you have a beverage training program, you have maybe a SOM training program or a Cicerone training program where you're teaching people about beverages, you will get a lot more higher quality people if they feel there's some kind of growth or career path available for them to take, right? And they got to have those learning opportunities. Maybe like I do this, Restaurant Success Summit every October. Maybe somebody is on your team, you offer them, hey, I'm going to get you a ticket to the Restaurant Success Summit. You get to go with me down to Scottsdale, hang out for 3 days with 9 speakers, learn a bunch of really cool, badass shit. We're going to take this, we're going to make an action plan for this and bring it back to the restaurant and implement, right? Have opportunities. There's all kinds of conferences around the country all the time. Food expos, food shows, workshops, all that stuff. Okay. You want to add value and you want to invest in their development. That's the fastest way to grow your team and also grow your reputation as the person that is investing in their team. Okay. Invest in your team, please, please, please. It pays off more than you ever could imagine. That's key number 2. Key number 3, you got to utilize multiple recruiting channels. So you want to cast the widest net possible when you're attracting qualified candidates, because you need to, if you want to leverage the different variety of recruiting channels. Now, a lot of people just do one. Maybe they do like Indeed. Some do like poached jobs, in major markets. You got to invest in doing it multiple channels. It'd be like social media marketing. When you're social media marketing, Ross said, All American Barbecue, do you have the culinary on ebook? No, it's not available on ebook. It's only a textbook. It's called The Art and Science of Culinary Preparation. You can go on Amazon and buy it. And you can also get the workbook to it, but it's not available on an ebook. Now, what I've done, and this is something you could do, you can download the book. You could have it, or maybe even get a PDF copy of the book or a copy of a book, and you can take a PDF copy of a book. And now a PDF copy is available on your tablet. I have tons of books in the accelerator program. You get tons of resources. One of the resources you get is I'll give you 50 PDF books that you can actually share with your team. All right. They're easy to do. It's easy. I have 50 of them in the library right now that you can download and share with your team today in the accelerator program. If anybody who's here on the call in the accelerator program, just email me and I'll show you where they're at in the modules. Right? They're easy to find. All right. 50 of them, some really good ones too. All right. So multiple channels. Diversify your recruitment strategies by ensuring that you have a wide range, a wide net. Like social media, you wouldn't just market on Instagram only. You'd be missing out on all the other opportunities. Okay. So there are industry specific job boards available. There's like culinary agents, H careers. I know there's like poached jobs. There's very, very specific ones. There's also more generalized job boards, Indeed. All those ones are out there. I tend to like social media platforms for recruiting because we're talking about recruiting. If I'm posting a job ad, I don't like to do job ads at all, really. I like to do what's known as active recruiting. And in the talent attraction method, I teach you how to actively recruit, not just post boring job ads. Now, LinkedIn to me is the number one place I want to go if I'm looking for leadership roles. If I need to find a leader, a manager, someone in a role like that, I'm usually going to go to LinkedIn. And I'm going to do a search in there. And I'm going to start reaching out to people and start sending cold emails and just ask him, hey, saw your profile here. Hey, I'm looking to build a rock star team at my new location. I'm not sure if you're looking for an opportunity, but if you are, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Super, super easy. Don't worry. In the talent attraction method, I give you all the templates. I give you all the cold email templates. I give you every template you need to make this happen. Okay. So don't worry. All right. That being said, social media is a great tool, but again, showcase your culture. Show me why you're a great place to work. Show me the ambiance. Show me the team having a good time. Show me some of the training stuff you're doing. Show me your team going out. You guys maybe doing kickball, dodgeball, playing a softball game on Sunday. Show me your team having a great time. And then referral programs are so powerful. I love a good referral program. All right. You should have a referral program that's available for your guests. They can refer someone to be hired at your restaurant or your team. My probably the one I use the most is called the 25-25-50. Right, the 25-25-50 referral program, and you can scale it to any number you want. I'm just going to give you a basic number. So I basically 25-25-50 works like this. You get $25 if you recommend someone, I interview them and I hire them, not just an interview. So don't send me all 50 of your cousins and think that you're going to get $25 every time I interview somebody. $25 when I interview someone and I hire them. If they make it 30 days, which is the next kind of like benchmark, if they make it 30 days, then you get another $25. And if they make it 90 days, you get another $50. That's why it's called the 25-25-50. Now I've amped it up for like leadership role. I'm looking like maybe for a manager, I might do 50, 50, 100. I've seen people do 100, 100, 200. You can change the parameter, whatever you want. But the goal is basically they get the first payment when someone's interviewed and hired, second payment when they make it to the first 30 days, and the third payment when they make it the 90-day kind of probationary period. Sound good? That's key 3. Key 4, you got to implement a rigorous interview program. Not, hey, tell me about your last place, what you worked like. This is not how we do interviews. You want to have a meticulous interview process that ensures that your new hires not only going to be able to perform the job, but also are they going to integrate into my team culture and contribute to the restaurant's objectives. So number 1, structured interviews are the only way to go. In the talent attraction method, I give you interview packages. These are interview packages that you can download and use today to actually interview people. You need to hire a server, download the interview packet, ask the questions on the interview packet. It's not rocket science. Ask the questions. It will tell you what the responses should be. You start using those things, okay? Make sure you're using BBI, behavioral-based interview questions. Another thing I like to do is I like to really, when I'm talking to them, interviewing them, having that structured interview, I'm trying to ask myself the question, are they going to fit in with my culture? Okay. They seem like they're a lone wolf. They're going to want to do it on their own. They seem like they're a team player. They seem like they're high drama. They're going to be like, they're always just, they seem like they're going on and on about a story. And they always like have like some, I had a rough time getting here today. It was really bad. The traffic was horrible. And then my dog, my dog ate my shoe. And then, and then my neighbor wanted to talk to me for 20 minutes and I just couldn't get in the car in time. I'm just so sorry for being late. Normally it doesn't happen. I'm normally a very, very punctual person. Bullshit. Okay. And then I like to have assessments, skill assessments. We call this a stage or a trial or a tryout. Now, depending on where you're at, I usually nowadays, it used to be you could do stages for free. Someone would do a stage for free. Now I like to do a practical assessment or I have them do a dish. Now I'll pay them for it. Like for chefs, I'm usually have them do a mystery basket or I'll pick out like, some items and make them do like a 3-course meal out of the mystery basket. Bartenders, I'll have them make up a series of cocktails. I'll tell them which cocktails I want. And then I'll say, then wow me with your favorite, whatever, like your showstopper cocktail. If you had one cocktail to get into heaven, what cocktail would that be? Make that for me and let me taste it. All right. We call that the Pearly Gates test. The Pearly Gates test. If you had one dish to make to get into the Pearly Gates, which would it be? Make that dish. Okay. And then team interviews. I like to involve the team, especially for higher roles. Or sometimes I might even have like at my second restaurant, I had a whole really, really sophisticated interview process. First interview was with my GM or with my chef, depending on where you're applying for. If you're enrolling, if you wanted a job with the service team or for the bar, anything that with the with the service team or the bar, you interviewed with the GM first. After you interviewed with the GM, then you went to a panel of peers that worked in that department because you're going to be working with them. So I had 3 of my top service team members that had been with me for years and years and years. They were the panel and they asked some general questions. So they went through a panel interview after that. If they passed the panel interview, the third and final interview was with me. I always had a 3 interview process. Now you might be saying, wow, Donald, that's a lot. Man, I don't know if I could do that. I'll tell you this, my turnover rate was pretty much below 5% because when you made it on my team, you went through enough hoops to understand that it was cool and that was a lot of work to make it on a team. I want to stay on the team. That's how you do it. Okay. Same thing with the culinary department. My chef de cuisine would interview anybody in the culinary department. Then I had a couple of the, I had like my grill guy, I had my pastry chef. I had maybe one of my other guys interview him as a team, as a panelist. And then we had, after they passed the panel interview, then I interviewed him finally. Okay. You got to have a rigorous, structured interview process for what you're doing. Please do not do one-offs. I know sometimes you're desperate to fill a body and fill a slot on the schedule. You will find that you got a lot better fits, which is going to actually pay off in dividends as far as increased revenue, increased profitability, reduced waste, reduced stress for you if you just really take the time to find the right person. Okay. Key 5, check references thoroughly. I'm always shocked how many restaurant owners don't check references. It's always amazing. Like they just don't check references. It's like, I don't know why. It'd be like driving down the highway and never looking at the speedometer and just kind of hoping that you're going the speed limit. That's like stupid. Reference checks are a critical component to the hiring process. Critical component. Because they give you a lot of insights about the person's past performance, work ethics, overall sustainability. I always want to validate their references, and I might even ask for some additional references that they didn't give me, or I might call the restaurants and ask myself for some questions. Because 9 times out of 10, if you give me a reference, I know it's usually someone who's going to give you a good reference. Very few. It's funny, though, when someone does put someone down as a reference and they give them a bad reference, it's always hilarious. I wish I had a recorder and I recorded those. It would make a top 10 list on the New York Times bestseller. Yeah, interview references that went bad. It would be crazy. It would be awesome. I would love it. We should start doing that. All right. So reference checks are very, very important. You must do reference checks. How do we do it? I ask specific questions. Don't, hey, was Joey a good team member? Would you hire him back? No. Be very, very specific. Right. So like maybe I'm hiring a chef. I might ask about their proficiency, with that cuisine. How were they at managing inventory? How were they running numbers? How were they running at food costs? How were they at managing ticket times? How were they about training and teaching and developing their team? You want to ask very, very specific questions, especially skill specific questions, right? And then one of the things I kind of like to ask a lot is I like to ask some kind of questions about stress and conflict management, because I want to understand how they process stress. So I might ask some questions. How do they deal with conflict? Did you notice them having any did they get along with everyone on the team? Was there anyone on the team they did not get along with? What was that like? Could you tell me more about that? Most of the time you just have to say this word, this little sentence. Could you tell me more about that? Could you explain that a little bit more? Could you tell me more about that? That's all you have to do. People will open up like Pandora's box and share everything with you. It's crazy. Okay. And then always try to talk to their direct supervisors. HR departments, if you get stuck in an HR department, they're going to provide you with the facts. They were employed from this date to this date. They are hireable, rehirable, or not rehirable. They won't go into any gritty, nitty-ditty, any details that you really want. So I try to talk to supervisors or people that they worked with, right? And what I'm looking for is like work ethic. How professional were they? I'm looking for their reliability. their punctuality. I'm looking for their adaptability. How fast were they to learn? How, did they pick up stuff pretty quick in the training program? How fast were they learning? Like maybe I'm interviewing a server and I'm asking someone about a reference for a server. How fast were they about picking up the menu items and describing them in detail? That was one thing they kind of struggled with. I mean, they were okay, but they never really got the, menu stuff down 100%. Well, that's good to know, right? Okay. And then always be prepared. If I had to give you a 4-point best practices for reference checks, number 1, prepare. Make sure you know exactly what information you need to verify. Number 2, always be consistent. That means always use the same set of questions. You want to set what we call as a baseline. That's why when I have interview packages, they're the same questions for the same position. Like if you download a server interview packet, every server you interview gets the same packet. You don't change up the questions because then the answers are going to be askew and you won't have a variable or actually a real reliable kind of set of answers. So always be consistent with your questions you ask your references. And the best way to do this is jot down 10 to 12 that you have that you can just read over while you're on the phone with somebody and just pull out the 10 to 12 that you use. But always use the same ones, okay, out of that 12. Okay. And then make sure you're being in compliance with legality. Make sure you're complying with all legal requirements concerning privacy and consent. And then keep records. Don't ever write on someone's application, but always keep a piece of paper that you can attach with a paper clip to their application that you take notes on. That's one of the reasons I like the interview packets, because I can use the interview packet. I can write on an interview packet. I'm not writing on their application or resume. Right? Don't ever write on someone's application or resume. That'll get you flagged right away. They'll say you're being prejudiced and biased, and especially if you didn't give them the job. Okay. If you're going to put something on somebody's resume or application, use a sticky note. Don't write on the application or resume, please. That will just kill you in a heartbeat. And then 6, you got to make an attractive offer. You got to make sure that you want to create an offer that is so good, they would feel stupid turning it down. This means constructing a package that not only meets their financial needs, but also aligns with their personal and professional aspirations. So what do? I look at competitive salary, right? Especially for top talent. I got to ensure that my salary reflects the demands of the position. I got to make sure I'm doing this. Now, there's tons of tools out there. You can research industry standards. Go to Glassdoor. You can go to Indeed. They have a salary checker. You can go into Glassdoor or Indeed, type like, what's the salary of a line cook in Birmingham, Alabama? And it'll tell you what the average hourly line cook makes in Birmingham, Alabama. And then you can kind of look at yourself and say, am I high? Am I low? Or where am I at? You always want to be slightly over the medium, right? Don't be low. You don't want to lowball people. You don't want to be known as the lowest price in town. Do some research. Make sure you have a fair market value. And then stay flexible. Salary negotiation is called a negotiation for a reason. And then when you're putting together your benefits packet, make sure it's very robust. Some places can do health insurance, some places can't. Some places offer health insurance through the county or city. Those are great options. I have a couple guys in Detroit that have restaurants. They offer health and they have their health packages through their local county, and it's only like I think it's $20 a month. It's really, really a super sweet deal. Check into health benefits with your local city, with your local county. So there's all kinds of good packages out there you might be able to get a deal on. Eventually, you might want to start looking, especially if you're a more robust organization, maybe start looking at retirement plans, 401ks. Another easy to do thing is some kind of wellness plan, maybe gym memberships, health programs, company sponsored wellness activities, going for bikes and hikes. It's all kinds of fun stuff you can do with your team. And then try to get a little bit of that life-work balance. We know in the restaurant industry, being owners, that there's not a lot of I don't even like the word life-work balance. I call it life-work integration. I'm trying to integrate my life with my work, so it's all just one big life. That's what really it is. But kids today, they want to hear that word balance. I need balance. I need some balance in my life. I need some balance. And balance is like the worst goal in the world because balance is like a teeter-totter. When one side's up, the other side's down. There's no real balance. Okay. And if you want to stay equal, like you have to stand in the middle and like balance, like super shaky, it doesn't work. But some of the things they look for: flexible scheduling, called flex scheduling. They look for shift preferences. Sometimes they look for clear, defined time off, right? These are all the things you need to have. And make sure you're very, very transparent and offer some kind of career growth in the offer. Say, hey, we got a clear advancement path. This is what it looks like. We have a MIT manager and training program. We have a CIT chef and training program. We have a bar manager training program. Whatever you want to do, you should have some kind of advancement path and growth, and put that into the offer to make it attractive. And you should be offering training year round. Common mistake restaurants make is they train only on the front end. What I mean by trained on the front end, they hire someone and they train somebody, and then there's no more training. Right? That's called a training culture. You want to develop a learning culture. That's where we're constantly learning, growing, developing, constantly wanting to be better, constantly want to get the best out of ourselves. That is how you get an attractive offer that people cannot refuse. Because if you're just going on price alone, like you pay more per hour than anybody else, yeah, you'll get some mercenaries that come in and want the dollar. But the dollar, after a while, the problem is that your higher dollar will soon get outbid by the new guy in town who wants to pay a little bit more. And then they'll go to that dollar. And then they'll find out that place wasn't that good. And then they'll come back asking for their job back. Right? It's a horrible situation. A competitive, attractive offer has all the bells and whistles knocked off. Okay? Should have something to do with a competitive salary, should have some kind of benefits packages in there, some kind of work-life integration balance, if you want to use that word. And it should have some kind of career growth and training path available for them. Those are the elements that make attractive offer. Write that shit down. Right? Competitive salary, 1. 2, a benefits package. 3, some kind of work-life balance. I hate the word balance. Integration. And 4, some kind of career growth training plan. Those are the elements to make an attractive offer. If your offer is missing any of those, you don't have an attractive offer and you will not get the bid. That means people will not do business with you, which means they'll go down the street and work somewhere else. Person with the best offer always gets the deal. It's always how it is. And then key number 7, on board like a rock star. Please, this is where other people drop the ball. You go out of your way to recruit. You spend hours each week recruiting. You spend hours perfecting your perfect job post. You spend time interviewing people. They spend time and money doing a stage, a tryout. You spend product on them. You sign them up. You know, they say they want to be on board. You hire them. And then they come into an onboarding situation and just like, who are you? Oh, yeah, well, here, fill this paperwork. Fred will be in about 9 o'clock. Just sit there and just do the paperwork. And when he comes in, I'll sit him with you. No. Have a structured onboarding program. In the talent attraction method, I give you a structured onboarding program. It is a complete checklist on how to onboard like a rock star. Whenever I'm onboarding, I break it down into 3 phases. First 30 days, first 60 days, and then the last 90-day marks, all right? First 30 days, introductions, base training, familiarize them with the restaurant ops. I want to make sure they understand safety protocols, how to use the equipment, how all the basic in and outs of daily operation. There should be some kind of comprehensive menu, like on the some kind of comprehensive training on the menu, guest service standards, any softwares, tools they need to use, right? After that, the first 60 days, now I start integrating their role into more complex tasks, allowing them to have a little more autonomy. That means they can do it without me standing over their shoulder, right? This could be handling more challenging aspects, could be maybe help planning out stuff, okay? And then that first 90 days, I always want to review their progress. Every 30, 69, there should be a sit down and review what's going on. After the first 30 days, sit down. After the first 60 days, sit down. And then to 90 days, another sit down. Okay. I want to make sure they're integrating with the team as far as dynamics. They understand their roles. And if they have any things they need me to address. Okay. Mentorship's a huge thing too. You got to have mentors. I love having mentorship. I like to partner up my new hires with a mentor or a buddy on the team. So if I got someone in the coordinator team, I might buddy them up or have them have a mentor with someone who's more of a senior leader on the team as just kind of like their role model. Just kind of show them the ins and outs, someone they can go to when they have questions. It's always nice to have a go-to person for any kind of questions or concerns that they don't feel stupid asking. Sometimes people don't ask questions because they don't want to go to the leader and ask questions because they don't feel that's their place to ask the leader, which it should be your place to be the leader, be asked any questions anytime. But some people just feel awkward about it. Having a mentor takes it easy where, hey, this is Fred. Hey, Fred, meet Johnny. Johnny, you're going to be, Fred's going to be your mentor. He's been in the team for 4 years. He knows the ins and outs. He knows where everything's at. He also knows how we do our standards. He knows our core values. He knows everything we do, but he's going to be your go-to guy. If you have any questions, if I'm not around to help you out, and you and I will be doing our training, but if I'm not around and you have questions, go to him. He's your guy. Okay. And make sure you have some kind of feedback loop. Feedback is critical. Why? Because it helps me address early concerns. It encourages open communication, which is always a plus. And then also allows for continuous improvement. Okay. You got to have that. You got to have that in your onboarding stuff. Now, final thoughts. For many of us, recruiting the right team member isn't just about draining time and resources. It's a chance to turbocharge your restaurant's engine. Every new hire is more than just another set of hands. They're a potential game changer, someone who can ramp up your team's dynamics. They can inject fresh skills into the mix, and they actually can cement your restaurant as a badass culture. So when you recruit, remember, you're not filling gaps. You're strategically constructing the backbone of your restaurant's success. Think of your team members like chess pieces. You want to strategically pick the pieces that you add to the board. I want you to remember this. Hashtag write this down. Every person you hire is part of your marketing team, whether you know it or not. Every person you hire is part of your marketing team. You might be saying, well, Donald, that prep cook's not part of it. They're not doing anything with marketing. Yes, they're prepping the food that gets on the plate, and the plate gets in front of the guests, and the guest is marketing. Right? Well, my busser's not part of the marketing team. Yes, they interact with the guest. They maintain the facilities. They make sure the bathrooms are spotless all the time. Yes, they are part of the marketing team. Everyone on your restaurant team is part of the marketing team. And the job of marketing is to leave a great impression. Jenna could back me up on that. So before we leave, I want to explain something today. No, this is something a little different than I've done before. I want to explain the difference between webinar training and restaurant coaching. Because I had someone email me the other day and say, hey, Donald, I'm in the webinar program with the restaurant growth. Is that good? Can I just, I feel I'm getting some good stuff out of that. Do I need anything more? Well, it depends on what you want. So webinars, stuff like webinars, things like books, audio books, YouTube videos, things like that. Those are what I would call the 30,000 foot view. So if I was in a plane and I was like, just kind of hanging out at 30,000 feet, that's the view that you get right here. Okay. And when you're at 30,000 feet, it's not bad. I mean, it's not a bad view. It's just not a really, really, fantastic view. And you're not really going to actually get down to the level you want to be at. Okay. So when we're talking about that, I want to say this is how webinars are. Webinars are going to give you some good tools. you're going to get some good gold nuggets, right? You're going to be able to take the stuff you learn here. And if you're really proactive, you have some discipline, you can take some of these gold nuggets that you learned today. You can go back into your restaurant and you can apply them. And here's the thing, they'll actually work for you too, which is a beautiful thing. Now, let's talk about the next level. Next level would be where a lot of restaurants go to. Next level is what I call the 20,000 or 10,000 foot view. 10,000 foot view is where we're basically coming closer to the ground. As you know, it's like at the 30,000 foot view, all you see is clouds. At the 10,000 foot view, you can start seeing buildings. You can start seeing the runways. You can start seeing all the good stuff. And what we want to do here at this level is I want to start thinking about what are the different elements that might be at this level. So a mastermind group would be a good analogy for this level. So a mastermind group is what we call group accountability. Group accountability stuff is basically you have a group call. And when we're doing a group call, we're talking about new stuff. We're basically talking about new tools. You do have some accountability as far as the train's a little bit more clear. You got a little bit more tools added to your toolbox. You also have the group accountability, plus you have a coach that you can ask questions to a little bit more frequently than on a webinar series. And so you can get a little bit more feedback, which gives you a little bit more flexibility, also more adaptability, which gives you a little bit better results. Now, when we get down to the ground level or the tarmac, like we're going to land this plane, this is what we talk about is one-on-one coaching. One-on-one coaching is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you're on the ground, you're fully immersed, right? This is the maximum accountability. You also get a full arsenal of toolkits, right? Lots of tools in your toolbox. And this is where you also see the most tangible results. Now, for the last 14 years, the coaching programs I've been leading have helped over 2,900 independent restaurants just like yours. Because here's the cool thing. Coaching gives you two things that you need: accountability and new tools. Think of coaching as just like having a personal trainer. Yeah, you can go to the gym and work out, but you're going to find you get better results if you have a trainer telling you what to do, when to do it, how many reps to do, and is also there to spot you when you get stuck. That's what coaching's about. Coaching gives you that personal kind of trainer's kind of feeling that you're there and you're on top of it. Another thing I always say is like coaching just amplifies your results. I had a client, and this client's been with me for years. His name's Sean. He has a restaurant out in LA called Upper Crust Pizzeria. Sean's been with me for years, and he was doing an interview with a magazine in LA, and they said, "What's coaching like with Donald?" And his answer was, "It's like running your restaurant on rocket fuel." All right. So if you want to amp up your program, amp up your restaurant, amp up your results, coaching is the fastest way. And our accelerator program is the fastest path. It gives you all the tools, all the modules, every download that you need to have everything you want in place to get the restaurant and life you desire. And the most beautiful thing about this is that you also have the accountability with a coach. One of my certified restaurant coaches will coach you personally. They have been trained by me in my TRC method. They know all the systems forward and backwards, and they can help you. And they also have owned restaurants themselves. Some still own restaurants. The Accelerator program is so great. It has over 200 hours of videos that you can watch. And there's over 380 downloads, including all those training manuals, interview packets, all that stuff I talked about today on this call. All those downloads are in the members area. Jenna will tell you it's a no pressure sale. Just speak to someone on the restaurant growth team. It's that simple. I'm not going to sell you. Right? If you want to talk to someone on the restaurant growth team, just reach out to them. They'll be more happy to help you out. Jenna could put a link in the chat for you if you want to talk to somebody about it. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know. I saw you signed up. That's so excited. I get you on my onboarding call. I know. I saw you signed up. That's excited. You have been on every webinar, my friend. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have you in the group in the coaching program. It's going to be amazing. Got some big stuff planned for you. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. All right. Does anybody have any questions about today's seminar? Our webinar today about recruiting? Any questions about today? All right. Jenna threw the link in there. Again, We're no pressure people. Some people like coaching. Some people just are not right for coaching or don't want coaching. And that's cool too. Just keep coming to the webinar. I'll keep showing up. We'll keep doing this stuff every week. I'll give you some gold nuggets. Take the gold nuggets you can use and apply them in your restaurant, and you'll start seeing some results. If you want to get on the Rocket Fuel program, you know what to do. Yeah, go. And Jenna just said, go there if you'd like to speak to someone on our team. We're simple. We're not going to high pressure you. Right. Next week on the webinar, I'm going to give you guys details about my Restaurant Success Summit. That's going to be in Scottsdale. It's going to be fantastic. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to say thanks for being here today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day on a Wednesday to spend an hour with me and talk about some exciting topics. If I can be of any help to you, you can always reach out to me, Donald@therestaurantcoach.com. I'm always available to answer any questions you have to. Right. And if you want to talk about coaching, Jenna put the link in the thing. It's just restaurantgrowth.com/coaching. Can't get any simpler than that. Right, Jenna? Can't get any simpler than that.
Very simple.
That's it. All right. Well, thanks for being here today. I appreciate every one of you. And if I can help you out, just let me know. I'm here to help you.